Adam Schefter. Brady says it is pretty unlikely that he will retire. What more can you tell us about his future?
Well, Jay, this shapes up to be the biggest NFL offseason storyline that will be out there. Tom Brady and his future. What he said last night was one thing. What he didn't say and what others didn't say was also interesting. Nobody said, yes, we want him back in New England.
Yeah.
I want to be back in New England. You never heard anybody say that, and so it raises the specter of possibilities. Now, he did say last night it's pretty unlikely, in his words, that he's going to retire, but he did have that but. And I think that but is in there because, honestly, he doesn't know what he's going to do at this point, and retirement will be discussed. And guess what? It's not just a Tom Brady decision. It's a family decision. You have to factor in what everybody feels and wants to do. And so this is a complicated decision that will play out over the course of the offseason. We'll see what the Patriots want to do. You remember his father earlier during the offseason saying, this is on the Patriots, this is on Bill Belichick. Let's see what they want to do, shifting the onus to them. But again, this is going to be the most closely watched storyline. And there is a chance that that was his last game in Foxborough last night. We'll see.
Indeed, we will see. Let's talk about Dallas for a second. Cowboys have interviewed both Mike McCarthy and Marvin Lewis for their head coaching position. What's the latest you're hearing about Dallas?
For starters, there are no head coaching interviews on the docket for today.
Okay.
But it certainly looks like we're going to get clarity here pretty soon. Because with the Patriots losing last night, Josh McDaniels coming free, we're a little bit removed from guys like Matt Rule finishing up their bowl game. I think this is the week that the coaching picture is going to come together in a lot of places, including Dallas. Nobody believes that Jason Garrett is going to return as the head coach. The question is how the Cowboys officially move on. But even with him still in office, even with them not parting ways with him, they started interviewing Marvin Lewis Friday night into Saturday, Mike McCarthy Saturday. Nobody planned today, but there'll be more candidates that are interviewed. And the only thing you can say for certain right now is Jason Garrett is not going to be coaching that team in 2020. And the NFC East is going to have 3 new head coaches in Dallas, Washington, and with the New York Giants.
Interesting. There are some pieces in Dallas. This season, the Cowboys led the league in total offense, something that they hadn't done since 1980. Adam Schefter with the latest. Thank you, Adam.
Jay. The league baseball history. The Pats have a lot of notable free agents. Brady's obviously going to dominate the headlines in that regard, an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his career. And they have a lot of needs, Tim. So big picture, how do you see this playing out?
Well, I mean, I think if you're going to make a decision on Tom Brady, that has to be kind of independent of everything else that's going on in terms of the needs of your football team. Yeah, I think you said it, Hannah. I mean, what's going to dominate this is Tom Brady going to be there? And that also could impact whether or not other people want to go and be a part of that organization. It just doesn't feel like it's Tom Brady's decision, which, like, I guess shouldn't surprise us. I mean, we've seen Joe Montana finish elsewhere, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, a lot of great players at the quarterback position that had to go finish somewhere else. So it probably shouldn't surprise us, but it just doesn't feel like his decision. I mean, we think back to Brady's, father's comments on the radio during the season, like, hey, it's up to Bill. Belichick not saying, like, why wouldn't we want Tom Brady back? Not that you have to, expound on kind of your answer of wanting Brady back in 2020. But that's a pretty easy answer to say, like, yeah, Tom Brady's going to be our quarterback going forward. He doesn't say that. Tom Brady is saying, like, hopefully I'll be back. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's Tom's decision. Feels like New England is trying to figure out, quarterbacks are making upwards of $30 million a year.
Right.
Do we want to pay a 42, 43-year-old quarterback, $20+ million a year when the rest of the league is guys running around at the quarterback position?
Kind of reminds me of Kobe Bryant and his final contract. And, Tom Brady like a son, obviously, to Robert Kraft. It's going to be fascinating.
It will be. Okay, set all that aside because I don't want to overshadow what the Titans did, what Derrick Henry did. 182 yards rushing last night, most by any player against Belichick's Patriots in the playoffs. And happy birthday, indeed, for him.
Yeah.
How important will Henry be Saturday night against the top-seeded Ravens as we move forward?
Well, he's huge. You hear the Titans talk about Derrick Henry. They're like, hey, let's get him to his 4th or 5th step. Because when he gets rolling downhill, no one wants to tackle him. I mean, he literally is a defensive end playing running back. I mean, he's massive. And you just saw guys kind of turn stuff down late in the game, against New England and really all season long. So, facing Baltimore, letting them get creative and bring, various blitz pressures and stuff like that, they're hard to beat. If you can try to bully them, just run right at them. The Titans are better run blocking offensive line group than pass blocking offensive line group. If you can get him to that 4th and 5th step, control the ball, now all of a sudden you're not defending Lamar Jackson as much as maybe you are, if you find yourself with some 3 and outs, things of that nature. So he's big against anybody. He literally is big. And so I just think that, that's the advantage.
Be a lot of running the ball. Could be a very quick
game. That game might be like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, Tim. Thank you so much.
Back need to do to win their game?
Well, I think the biggest thing is they need to create offense probably, but they need to get some help from their offensive line by way of pass protection. You go back to the Week 12 matchup, they didn't block anybody, Jeff. Stop pounding your chest. They were terrible on both sides of the ball, and both quarterbacks were hit a bunch. And, talking about the kind of replacement players, if you will, that Philadelphia has on the perimeter and even at the tight end position, depending on the health of Zach Ertz, Wentz is going to need a little time to let guys shake free. Yeah. And, he held on to the football quite a bit in the first matchup, had a couple fumbles, did have a few, interceptions. And then, Russell Wilson, not all that different, because of injuries at the running back position, some injuries, for them and loss of players for them on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. I think both quarterbacks are going to really need to create their own offense outside of the design of the play.
Yeah, I tell you what doesn't help was when the Eagles with Brandon Brooks, their guard, and Lane Johnson, their right tackle, both guys being out. Clowney coming back for the Seahawks on the other side, getting healthy. Not the best time they're getting healthy, and you're kind of playing behind the 8 ball as that goes. So from the offensive line perspective, Tim, you made a great point. That's actually how football games are won and lost, in case you don't understand offensive line play. So big day for the offensive line, especially from the Eagles' perspective
today. You've got to score a lot of points, those offensive linemen.
Well, I mean, we have seen that this season
big
quite
man
a bit.
touchdowns.
You know what I mean?
Actually.
Athletes in space.
Sure
That's what we do.
That's what you
call we do.
It's a big influence on the playoffs.
Let's get to a different athlete in a different game, right? We got the Saints and the Vikings down in the Superdome, and Dalvin Cook's been held out of the final 2 regular season games for Minnesota. He says he's going to be at full strength today against the Saints. How does he match up against the New Orleans defense?
Well, this is what, I mean, you think about the Titans and the Patriots last night and the way they ran the football. That's Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings today. They need to run the ball in the A-gap, straight downhill, be physical gap schemes, have some zone schemes, but just play physical between the tackles, keeping Drew Brees on the sideline, that offense that, can score quick. But this is going to be a key factor for this game. And this has to be said for Vrabel. When they sat Derrick Henry for the Saints game a couple of weeks ago and let him get healed, hopefully Dalvin Cook has the same thing where you're saying if you're not, no one's 100%, but you're as close as you can be at this time in the season. That is a big deal for this offense. It doesn't go without him.
People need to realize with Dalvin Cook, he runs with plenty of power, but his speed is the thing that I think when defenses face him, they don't realize how fast he is. Some players, you get on the field and then you see them just eating up angles by the defenders because they're not used to that guy's speed at that position. That's how Dalvin Cook is. He's got a different gear at the running back position than most backs. That's what separates him and makes him special. So, him being healthy, I think ends up being really significant. For everything that Jeff just said, plus his speed is just a whole nother element compared to the other backs who are good backs for Minnesota. And then you think about some of the play action stuff that comes off of it. Right. That's where they get a lot of their big plays.
All right, so if Cook is somewhat bottled up, what's your level of confidence in Kirk Cousins to be able to carry the offense?
I think Kirk Cousins has gotten a bad rap. He's a good player. I think that we've probably put too much on some of these big moments for Kirk Cousins.
It's a big moment today.
Of course it is, and like it is for all of these guys, But so when you look at it, I think Kirk Cousins will play well. Yeah. I think it's a tall task to go into that building with that type of noise.
Who wins that game?
I think the Saints win the game in their own building with the energy there, with a banged up Viking secondary. I just think it's going to be too much. And we'll talk about it like it's because it's Kirk Cousins, but I think it's the matchups.
And listen, Kirk Cousins runs for his life. I mean, so if your offensive line didn't block, I don't care how good a quarterback you think you are. If you can't set up and stand, offensive line wins games. We'll talk about it again.
Right, exactly.
Saints win today.
Amazing job.
Saints
Amazing
win. What about
job
the
of
other one?
blocking
Eagles,
by that
Seahawks.
Texans offense last night. Go ahead.
Eagles, Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Ooh, I like it.
I think it's similar to the last game.
I want to go Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Oh, finally we got a difference.
Yes, finally.
Saturday is back with us. And yes, there's a lot of uncertainty. There are a lot of questions to be asked this offseason for the Patriots. But some of that is, do the Patriots want Tom Brady back? But does Tom Brady want to go back to the Patriots? So to sort of make it look good, what do the Patriots need to do to want him to come back? They want to come back.
Yeah. I mean,
am I speaking still?
You're still going. You have to give him weapons on the outside.